If you're anything like me, when I was starting out and I wanted to quit my corporate 9 to 5, I had an Excel spreadsheet of 200 different business ideas. And if you don't overthink this whole thing, you're probably even more screwed because you picked the wrong business. You're not going to be able to have success and have the ability to pay $400,000 in taxes to the government like I did. You also get to do incredible things like being able to buy your mom a car. So in this video, I really wanted to share the best business models out there to start. I'm going to go over some of the most popular ones. And I'm just seeing too much bad advice about this whole subject from gurus and maybe well-intentioned 20-year-olds that, have good intentions, but they just don't have enough life experience. They haven't seen the ups and downs of a business cycle to really know what's good and what's not bad. Business opportunity I want to talk about is something that is growing really, really fast to the point that you have some of the biggest influencers promoting it. People like Hermosi getting into this space as well because this space is just blowing up. And that is online education, selling courses, selling digital subscriptions online. One of my friends, their company is getting into this space as well. And all they're doing is merchant processing in this space. And yeah, it is supposed to be growing by billions of dollars over the next few years. But it is also very competitive now. Having now launched 4 8-figure brands and doing over $100 million sales in the digital product market, I can tell you that yes, it is a very lucrative space, but you have to do it the right way. Now, there's also a ton of competition now, right? So what you have to do is you have to niche down and really focus in on what is the audience that you're going to serve. So if you're 25-year-old, chances are maybe there's one thing that you're really good at and just focusing in on that one thing. If you're 35, you're maybe a hedge fund manager. Now there's something much easier for you to focus on. You have like true expertise, but it becomes more difficult the younger you are because there's less things you're actually an expert in. So try to just hone in that one thing that is very useful that you can help people out with, and you can actually create a fantastic brand from that, or a fantastic digital product brand from that. So for example, you happen to be a really good closer, you've done door-to-door sales, you've done cold calling like I did at 25. I was like the top sales rep here in Shaw, a company based out of Vancouver, and I think they got acquired recently. But at 25, I could have created a course teaching people how to sell, and I could have just honed in on that market. And you watching this, you could be this guy as well. You focus in on 25-year-olds or, and the Gen Z, range anywhere from like 20 to like 25 years old, and try to help them become better salespeople or better remote salespeople. And there's a market there to be had. So that's how I would do it. Have that mindset. The riches are in the niches. Just hone in on that one market. And again, pick a platform and just double down on it. If you're talking to those 25-year-olds, okay, where are they at? Well, they're probably going to be on YouTube. They're going to be on TikTok. They're going to be on Instagram. Pick one of those in the beginning and just double down on that. Post every single day. And, you just have to have that mindset once again that one view is equal to actually 1,000 views. Because when you focus in on niche, you can monetize that niche so much faster. So at the end of the year, when you have, let's say 300 views per video, but you've put out also 350 videos because you did it every day, now you have over 100,000 views that you've generated. And if you do a good job at that, you could turn that into at least $100,000 income, which is great if you're just starting out. Now, if you're older, chances are your expertise is even more valuable. So I would just focus in on that. Another interesting point is after having generated, $100 million in this niche, we find that people that have personal brands you are going to have more profitability when you do actually start running ads, right? It's very good to go from like 0 to 6 figures for the organic brand, and then you light that up on fire, right? You pour gasoline over that by running ads, and that's where you make the real money. So if you have a personal brand already, you run ads on that, you'll easily go from like 6 to multiple 7 figures as well, as long as you have honed in on that market. And that just creates this like snowball effect where now the ads even help out your organic brand. And that's how Charlie Morgan actually blew up as well, because he had an organic brand and then he started running ads on it, and he made more money through ads, but it also helped him get more followers as well. So that's another benefit. And also when you have organic, it also helps with bringing more profit for your digital product. For our brands, we find that 30 to 50% of your profit can come from organic. Of course, as you scale, it goes down to like 30 or even 20%, but like it helps a lot. So it creates a very strong foundation in your business. So the tools I would use there, once again, 1 of 10 to find outlier videos so that you can grow your digital product organically. But when you start running ads, I highly recommend Facebook Ads Library. That's a great resource to use to find competitors that are running ads in the marketplace. And then you can see what type of messaging is resonating with your audience. Now, would I recommend the digital product space for beginners? Again, it's hard to do this business model because now you have hundreds of thousands of creators. And if you don't have true expertise, you don't even need a following, right? But like if you do not have true expertise that other people will find useful and you can charge money for that, it's very difficult to have a substantial digital marketing business. So it's not a beginner-friendly business, but once you do have expertise, it's a great model to just scale and make high profit margins. Let's talk about the business of becoming an influencer. And everyone wants to do this business model right now. And I can see the appeal why. After all, Conor McGregor, launched a alcohol brand, generated millions of dollars in sales. Same thing with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, also created a tequila brand and generated millions of dollars of sales as well. Obviously, Hermosi with partnering up with school, Alex Becker with a software company. There's just so many examples like Jake Paul with Prime. And it makes a lot of sense why you would want to do this business model because there's just so many examples everywhere. Even in my city in Vancouver, there's a guy called More Plates, More Dates. He generates hundreds of millions of dollars from his supplement sales. Why? Because he has a very strong personal brand on YouTube. And brand is one of those final moats that you have in a world where AI is disrupting absolutely everything. If you create a software, the same software that used to take 6 months to develop, now with AI, you can do it with 1 month, right? So even your line of code with software could be disrupted as AI just keeps on getting smarter and smarter. So brand is the ultimate moat. It's the ultimate way of protecting your business, because if people like your personal brand, then it makes a lot of sense to focus on building that personal brand so that you could have long-term value. In fact, when we launch companies as well, we try to find a personal brand to partner up with. This is how we ourselves took a fitness YouTuber from making only $30,000 a month to making $300,000 a month. And largely, we have like good marketing and whatnot, but all that was possible because this person had a very strong personal brand. And this is also why I am also creating a personal brand as well, because, eventually when you do have something to promote, when you have a personal brand behind it, you just have so much more longevity, and your cost of acquisition, your cost of getting a new customer is just so much cheaper. And that's the difference between a $10 million brand or a $100 million brand. And a great example of that is actually Alex Becker with his software Hyros. Because he had his personal brand, he was able to grow that thing a lot faster, and his cost of acquiring a new client was just so much lower because of his personal brand. So if you want to build a personal brand business, this is exactly how I would do it in today's day and age, because it is a more competitive landscape. So the first thing you have to do is you have to make sure that you stand apart from the crowd. You look at your unique identifiers, your unique skill sets, like what makes you stand apart from everyone else. And let's say, you are a nurse who got into a really good school and you passed your exams and you had like the highest grades. Now you could narrow in on that niche with nurses. The first step is you identify your story. The second step is identify the audience that you can help out the most. And the third step is figuring out the platform. So for nurses, maybe that's Instagram. And, so you double down on Instagram and you just start creating content every single day on Instagram. The mindset when you're getting started out, and this is why so many creators fail, and this is something I had to go through, even though I don't have huge views or anything, I have been very consistent with my channel, and I've spoken with, some of the top YouTubers on how they do it. And it is always, you have to think of the views that you get as one view is equivalent to 1,000 views, especially when you're speaking to your ideal avatar. You're not going to get these entertainment views, okay? You're not going to get like hundreds of thousands of views. So stop thinking like that. You're not Mr. Beast. You're not anyone like that. But you're speaking with that one person, that one nurse. And if that one person just resonates with your content, now you actually have a call to action as well for them potentially, right? So if you're helping nurses get into good schools, and you have 100 views, well, these 100 views are all nurses, or most of them are nurses. They can buy your product, and you might be able to monetize one of the 100 for $1,000 course. So 100 views could lead to $1,000 there, right? Whereas if you get 100,000 entertainment views with AdSense revenue, the ad revenue that Google pays you out for just producing content on YouTube, from 100,000 views, you might make only $20, right? So one view is equal to 50 to 100 times more when you just narrow in on one audience. Now that we have the mindset covered so that you can actually have longevity in the game, the next step is figuring out outlier videos. Outlier videos are videos that get 3 to 10 times more views than regular videos. And these outlier videos have to be targeted towards your target audience. So look at everyone that's creating content for nurses. Doesn't have to be very specific or similar content to what you're creating, but like has to be towards that target audience. If it got 3 to 10 times more views, just make a list of like 50 of those videos and start creating that, and take 95% of those elements, but change it 5% for your own twist. So for this, you could use Fiverr.com, and you can hire a pretty cheap outsourced worker to find these outlier videos for you. Basically a virtual assistant that can do this for you. Or you can also, especially on YouTube, you could use a Chrome plugin called 1 of 10. And you could also use for YouTube viewstats.com. And from this list, you can actually get a list of outlier videos very quickly. As you start creating this content, a lot of people tend to focus on their own outlier videos, but you actually need to do the opposite. Stop thinking about that one video that went viral. Instead, look at your base view growing. Okay, so focus on your base viewership, your foundational viewership, versus your peaks of views, because you just want your base to slowly start going up. And that's where you get true fans and people that actually buy from you in the future as well. And you got to give it time. So capture that narrow market first, go micro first. Okay, so if it's nurses, just focus on nurses until you have completely captured as much as you can of that market. And then from there, you can go broader. And instead of just nurses, you can go towards medical professionals. And your foundation of nurses is always going to be there. Okay, so focus on building your base first before you go broader. This is the exact same strategy that Alex Hermosi took when, in the first year on YouTube. First 2 years, he was just uploading gym content. Or even Charlie Morgan, he was just talking about agency stuff until he went broader into towards broader business stuff. And same thing with Dan Martell. He was at first just talking about software, and then he finally went broader into business as well. So pick your micro audience niche that you want to dominate first before you start going broader. Now, is this a beginner-friendly business model? Look, when I was starting out, I knew I needed to make money in the next 3 to 6 months. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to pay off my bills. And for most beginners, they're in that situation. This is a good long-term play, but it is not an immediate cash flow play. It's more and more competitive. Now on YouTube and Twitter, you have billionaires now beginning to upload content as well. So this is not the best beginner-friendly play, but it is good for a long-term play, building your brand long-term. It's good for lead conversion. When someone is interested in product and service and they look you up, there's something there for you. It's good for conversion, but it is not good to generate cash flow right off the bat. This is like a 2 to 4 year play, and it's very powerful, but it is not for beginners. Now, let's talk about one of the most talked about opportunities on the planet right now. Everyone wants the allure of buying something for $5 and selling it for $50. TikTok Shop recently just made this really popular as well. Amazon's obviously a $1 trillion company because of this business model. And you can actually build real equity and create a sellable business. And that is the business of physical products. Yes, this is a massive space. And my first business, online business, was actually an e-commerce product store where I lost $15,000 because I spent all that money trying to buy inventory, and I learned very quickly how important marketing is. Later down the road, I put $250,000 to start my second physical brand, and that was as an Amazon store. And I put $250,000 into this, had an operator to do this as well. And when COVID happened, that also crashed and just lost $250,000. Not to say it didn't work out for me. In fact, I ended up investing another $250,000 into a brand called Rebel Store, a physical product store as well. That investment now is worth a lot more than what I put in. So that one really worked out for me. Now, having invested into this and learning the hard way, I know exactly how to do this. And it's not the way most people go about starting a physical store. Don't try to go out for a big product, obviously, because you're going to have high shipping costs. Don't go all out into investing money into inventory, because if you don't have good marketing in place, you're going to lose your shirt. So the way I would do physical product now is going into more B2B play. This is how my investment Rebel Store worked out so well, because they actually did deals with Walmart. They did deals with Target. They did more B2B deals. And with physical products, this is not something most people think about. But if you actually go the B2B route, you're going to have lower refunds. So the niche you go after are gifts and B2B gifts. When people buy pens or bags, go for higher end goods. That's how I would play the e-commerce game now, because now you don't have to worry about refunds. You don't have huge packaging costs and shipment costs. In fact, one customer can turn into 100 because that one person can buy these luxury pens for 100 people. Or with B2B, there's a lot of cajoling, and you want to make your clients happy. So you would buy these very fancy looking leather bags for like 50 people at one time, and you send it to some of your best customers. Now, what I would do is I would go on Reddit and find these corporate forums to find what some of the most talked about gifting ideas are right now. And I would get product ideas from that. I would also go for products that have this look of luxury and the look more expensive than they are. There's these leather bags on Amazon that are like, that look like they're $200 bags, but Amazon is selling it for $40. So imagine if you can find someone that can provide that to you for even like $5 or $10, these nice looking leather bags. And, someone comes in and buys 100 of those. That's a ton of profit coming in. And you can really build a nice brand around that. I would also partner up with very niche influencers for this, people that have a B2B audience. So if they talk about your brand, your B2B gifting bag brand, now all of a sudden your content is being seen by all these business owners and marketers. And I think a brand like that could do really well. Now, overall, would I do this business model? I don't think so, because especially as a beginner, I wouldn't, because, it's very easy entry. Anyone can get into drop shipping. With TikTok Shop, yes, it's very trendy right now, but it also has a horrible reputation. And there's all these regulation risks, and, platforms can shut you down. So there's always these risks associated with it. I don't think it is a good beginner model, which is why the only investment for me that worked out well there was when I found an existing operation and I invested in it when I was more of a intermediate or advanced entrepreneur. So I wouldn't do it as a beginner. Yes, if you get lucky, you can have equity with your e-commerce physical brand, and eventually you can sell it. One of my really good friends owns Vessi shoes. But I know from knowing a lot of e-commerce people, managing cash flow is a very stressful thing until you finally get that exit. And just delaying your gratification for like 4 to 5 years, it's a high risk, a low probability play. And there's better business models out there. Now, this business model is all I heard when I was going through university. And that is the business of software or developing some app. It almost seems like everyone has an app idea. And when I finally looked into it, the success of having a successful app, and when I finally looked at it, the probability of having a successful app was like 0.001%, which is you're more likely to basically get hit by lightning than to have success in business. So obviously, most people don't really know how to do it. Now, having started 3 software companies now, and one of them now being partnered up with someone who had a $40 million exit in software, I put in $100,000 to start that company initially, thinking it was going to take $100,000. But after about a year, I was $400,000 in the hole. And finally, I found a tech founder to partner up with me on the software. And now we're headed somewhere with that brand that I'm super excited about. So definitely there's lessons that you can learn from it. And if I had to do it all over again, this is how I would do it. I would first narrow in and find a community of people that can benefit from having a software. So for example, I would find, let's say, plumbers, right? So with plumbers, I would find that, hey, you know what? They need CRMs. They need a customer relationship management platform, somewhere they can, manage their leads, and then they can see which leads are going to turn into customers and which ones need more nurturing. And even after they become customers, which ones, what they need, who needs what, basically. And a CRM helps you manage that. But a niche specific CRM can just solve your problems in a much more intimate way that most software like a general software won't be able to do it. So this was a playbook that Service Titan actually used. They initially used this massive software as a service platform called Salesforce, and they white labeled Salesforce, and they started helping plumbers without creating their own software from scratch, because building a software from scratch is very expensive. After they started having some customers and they started figuring out, hey, you know what, like these are the customizations they need, let's start building this out ourselves. And that's how they did it. First, they got the customers in the leanest way possible, and they white labeled someone else's software. And then eventually they moved people into their own software and built their own software. And today, Service Titan is worth over $10 billion. So that's how I would do it now. I would use a white label software, and I would try to use that to serve the market, and then try to build on top of what already exists. And for that, you're going to need a tech founder. So there's three parts here. You need the entrepreneur, which is going to be you. You need the community owner that has access to all these people like plumbers. And then the third person you're going to need is the tech-led founder. And this person knows code inside out. And these are the three parties required in order to really help with your software play. The tech founder could be very product focused, solving the problem. You as the entrepreneur can help with do that. The tech founder will also make sure product gets developed the right way, the coding is correct. And the third person, the community person, just make sure you get your initial traction, initial customers. And this team of three can really help with having a high probability chance of success. But yeah, if I would go after a CRM, I would start with something like Go High Level. You could white label that, and that's a great tool to use. Now, if you're just starting out, I probably wouldn't do this business model because of the cost it's going to take in development. Unless you have a really crystal clear idea and a big pain point in the market, you could be like my friends at WAP. These guys raised over 20, $30 million, and they're just like, a bunch of 20-year-olds, and they found a teen in the market, and they went and, got some initial traction, and then they went and raised capital to do it. So unless you have a very crystal clear, soft plan on what you need, what problem you're going to be solving, I wouldn't do this business model. You need very strong product market fit. Otherwise, you're going to have 0.0001 chance of success. It's not for beginners. However, if you've already made your first $5 million or so, then yeah, absolutely, then work on this. This is the thing that can take you from having $5 million to having over $100 million. And that's the same jump Alex Becker made with Hyros as well. He made a few $1 million first before he got into this. So this next business model actually has the highest chance of success, but most people don't qualify for it. It's a massive wave. A lot of boomers are retiring. So it opens up this blue ocean. And that is the buy and then build business model, where you take a business that has existed for a decade plus and then you build on top of it. And a lot of boomers, they haven't really optimized their business. So it is a like big opportunity right now, right? So you take over a business that has been generating $300,000 a year, $500,000 a year, and you get SBA loans as well, small business administration loans. So you can walk away with the business. Usually these trade at like 3 times. So if it's making $300,000, you can buy it for about $1 million, but you don't have to come up with that cash all by yourself. You can get SBA government loans to take over these businesses, and you're out of like maybe $300,000 in cash yourself, which is why most people cannot afford these type of businesses, because they don't have $300,000 lying around. But these businesses also have like a 95% success rate because they've already been operating for like 15 years or so. So it's a great way to replace your income, but you do need that initial capital. But there are ways around it as well, if you're lucky. So if I were to do it now, the way I would do the buy and build model, by the way, I have bought businesses. Most recently, I was about to buy a HVAC business myself as well. I did this entire research on why HVAC businesses, and I looked at like 20 different industries. Here's a table that I produced. I looked at all these industries, and I looked at the AI impact these industries would have as well, because I didn't want AI disrupting, the business that I bought, right? So you want to make sure it's AI proof. And a lot of these boring businesses are, I also looked at marketing impact because I'm good at marketing and what type of impact I can make on these businesses. So that's what you want to do. You want to look at some of your existing skill sets, and then you want to see which ones of your skills are most complementary to these type of businesses. So that's why for me, HVAC actually made the most amount of sense. I didn't end up pulling the trigger for some other reasons that I won't get into. But that being said, here's how I would actually find a business to buy. First, I would take and create a list of business brokers in my area. And then from that, I would go and build a relationship with them. I would meet them. I would get to know them. I would start getting them to start referring me deals as well. I wouldn't take the first one, look at least like 10, 20 deals and just find a reason to say no. Don't get caught up in the trap because of like, by their salesmanship or whatever. Like, take time to rear. This is like a 6 to 10 month process buying the right business. And it's not going to be like a lifestyle business either. So keep that in mind. It's going to take some time. Do your due diligence. Speak with the owners. Find out why they want to sell it. This is my criteria that I was looking at. The business needed to be operational for at least 15 years. The business, I needed to have stable cash flows. And, when it has this much time and it has stood the test of time throughout all types of like economic environments, like the next market crash, the business is going to be resilient. So the more time it has, the more age a business has, the more valuable it becomes. So 15 years of time frame is like very good. I would also, healthy cash flows. So if it's very narrow margins, you need to be an excellent operator to be taking that over. So look for like 20% plus margins, depending on the business. And then look for some operational inefficiencies as well. If they're not using a CRM system and they don't even follow up with their leads, they don't email their leads, they don't send any promotions, then chances are that, you come in, you install a CRM system, you learn to actually follow up with people the right way. Because most of these blue collar business, especially that are baby boomers, they're like, hey, what do you want? Like there's no real customer service. So try to like check off some of these boxes, and then I would try to do seller financing as much as possible and get the business owners to stay for another uh, year or two in the business, but they need to be willing to leave as well. When you acquire the business, don't even tell the existing employees that you've taken over until 6 months after acquisition. Otherwise, you can have the issue that they think, oh, things are going to change. I'm going to get fired. This person's going to make the business very efficient and I won't have a job. They'll start looking for other jobs. So yeah, don't even tell them for 6 months that you've bought the business after closing. After 6 months, you can tell them, the owner can announce it. And that's how I would go about the buy and build model. So, I mean, build and buy is great, but you got to have money. And you got to also understand that this is not really a passive business, especially if you're going to be putting in your $300,000 for the first time. You want to make sure you're there every single day for the HVAC business or whatever you buy, that you're there and to make sure and ensure that business succeeds. And that's why I didn't get into it, because I have much higher leverage activities to do than try to figure out what a HVAC business, how the business works and how I can scale it further and how I can roll them up and then sell it all together, which is also an excellent opportunity. You buy like 5 of these businesses, you get to 5 million EBITDA, and then you can sell it for like a 10, 15x, which is a ton of money. I just found higher leverage activities for myself to do. Now, let's talk about this next business model, which is getting a lot of traction. It's kind of the new way of doing the agency business. And I'm going to be talking about 2 different types of agency businesses here. But the very first one is this growth partner model where you partner with influencers, and because they're very good at getting attention, but they're not very good at monetization, and you help them monetize. And there's been a huge wave of people getting into this. And I mean, this is the model that I have done, where we found people that were very good at what they did. And, we worked with Jeremy Miner, Jeremy Etier, we worked with Foot Crunch. We actually sent him to Saudi Arabia to meet Ronaldo. We've worked with Mike Shake, massive YouTuber as well. And for this business model, yes, there's a lot of potential, but there's also many ways of doing it all wrong and ruining your reputation. The way I would actually go about and doing it, if I was just starting out, is not through Instagram DMs or anything, because this business has a lot of key man risk. And if you don't have a super solid relationship with the person, it's very unlikely it's going to work out for the long term, let alone even forget long term, actually. It's very unlikely it would even work for the medium term. So what I would do is I would go to a influencer event like Vid Summit, and I would go and network and try to meet as many cool micro influencers as possible, because you don't want to go too big. There's so many options, and especially if you're starting out, it's going to be very difficult for you to land a good creator to work with. And again, right, with this model, we've generated over 100 million helping them promote digital products. So you want to make sure you build a very good foundational relationship, and you do that through in-person events. Have conversations with 10, 20 of them, and from there, pick a maximum of 3 people to work with, obviously 1 at a time. But if you do work with too many people, you dilute your focus. So just really over-deliver for that one person. You want to make sure you create all the marketing funnels for them, or whether it is a community subscription membership, you focus in on helping them monetize, and make it work with just 1 first, okay? Because even with 1, if they're a micro influencer, they have 1,000 to 50,000 people or so, and they haven't really made their six figures. So it's going to be easier for you to land that deal. Um, just turn them into a success story. Okay. Um, and from there on, now you have a portfolio. Now you can land more deals if you want. But I would diversify after I have turned one into a success story because, like I said, there is a lot of key man risk in this business. Sooner or later, what can happen, and in this business model, there's a lot of recency bias. They'll start asking after about a year or two, what have you done for me lately? So it's good to have like a portfolio of these clients, within for your first year, don't have more than 3 clients. And then after your first year, you can expand your team and have more people. But one right person can be worth, $500,000 a year for you. So there's definitely money you can tap into. And it also can come with like clout and fame. Hey, you know what? I was the guy behind this guy. And when you start seeing that, you start landing deals a lot faster as well. So the growth partner agency model is definitely an interesting one. Would I do it? I wouldn't, especially if you are a beginner and you're just starting out. You need a level of skill set and sophistication. And if you haven't done marketing before, then it's not a good market to go after. Because after, like, once this person starts sensing that, like you don't have the skill set, it's very easy for them to can you and just move on over to the next one. It doesn't matter what you have in writing. Doesn't matter like if you hired the best lawyers for it. Doesn't matter if you own the CRM and all that. If they want to separate the relationship with you, they will do it, right? And that's why it's called key man risk. When the key man, the one with the pretty face, has all the brand, has all the power, and you as the agency owner, if you're not excellent at fulfillment, sooner or later you're going to lose that client, and it becomes difficult. On the other hand, once you do have skill sets, and once you have spent a lot of money on advertising and learned how to scale companies like we have, that's when you have like a revolving door of like people wanting to work with you. And also you can build enterprise value as well. Like Sean Honey, for example, partnered up with Iman Ghazi, and they launched Big Day energy drink brand. And that could turn into a multi-million-dollar business because you have a very experienced agency operator working with a very big creator. And those partnerships could stand the test of time and turn into something very profitable. So it's not a beginner-friendly model. Oh, one more thing to add with these businesses, the growth partner agency business, the way I would do it as well, I want to add this one point, is, take 33%. Don't take any more than that. You don't want too much. Otherwise, there's just too much responsibility and pressure, especially as a beginner for you. Take less. Less is more sometimes as you're getting started. Give 1/3 to yourself. 1/3 ideally should be the creator, and the 1/3 goes towards the fulfillment arm, right? So, for example, if you start an energy drink with this person, so the energy drink company should own the 1/3. And that way you get a quality product out. It doesn't hurt their brand, and there's longevity. And you also create a equity business to position yourself for a great exit. So let's now talk about the second type of agency that doesn't require any sort of sophistication. You don't need to be great at it. It's pretty good for beginners as well. And this is the model that I actually used to make my first million. In fact, when I made my first million, I was still driving around in a Honda Civic. So, you could generate stealth wealth with this business model. No one's really going to know how much money you're making. So yeah, it doesn't come with the crazy clout. It can later down the road. And this business model is the service agency model. And what type of service can you sell as an agency here? Well, I did it with a marketing agency. I did with like paid ads and SEO. And this is exactly the model that I would still recommend, uh, because I love it, because there's 20 million business owners in United States alone, and there's thousands of different niches and obscure niches that you might have never even heard of that pay a lot of money, like kitchen cabinet remodeling. One remodeling could be a $20,000 client for that kitchen cabinet remodeler. And if you get even one client, he's happy to pay you $3,000. Or dental implants, like I focused on, or personal injury lawyers. I focused on that niche as well. There's tree care service, someone's tree falls down or is hanging down too aggressively. That could be like a $4,000 tree care job. Um, and, it's windy all the time and trees are falling all the time. So, there's plenty of money to be made in this space with so many different niches. Now, if I had to do it now, what I would do is I would focus once again in on one niche, just narrow down into one niche. I would set up, go high level for my agency website. I would build a list of as many business owners as I could, and I would use D7 Lead Finder to do that. Okay, so once you scrape all the emails and emails, then I would use this tool called TSE Hammer. And with this tool, you can send out 1,000 cold emails a day. Like, if you don't know about cold emailing, usually you need to warm up the email, and it takes, I don't know, you can send 20 to 30 emails a day, and it takes about 2 weeks for that to like slowly ramp up. TSE Hammer, boom, you can start sending out emails right away. So that's a great tool to use. And you start sending out 1,000 emails a day. After a month, you're at about 30,000 emails sent. You'll get about 5% of people responding to your email. And from there, in the email, I would say something along the lines of, hey, business owner, would you like to know, let's say dentist, hey, dentist, would you like to know how this top dentist, like a big brand name from that city, like dentist Bob, is getting 10 to 15 dental implants cost like $15,000. It's a $15,000 service, so it's expensive. So like, have a high value service, package that up. Hey, Dr. Bob, would you like to know, or hey, dentist, would you like to know how Dr. Bob is getting 10 to 15 dental implant cases every single month? If so, reply yes, and I will show you exactly how he's doing it step by step. Now, when you send out this email, you will get about like a decent reply rate, right? You'll get anywhere from like 2% to 5% reply rate on that email. You send out 30,000 emails, that's about 1,500 replies that you just got back. Let's say even if you get 1,000 replies. From 1,000 replies for your step-by-step video, right, you will be able to get another 10% on a phone call with you, okay? You get 100 people on the phone call, okay? And from that, you close 5% because you'll have no-shows and whatnot. Now you've closed 5 dental implant clients, and these clients are going to pay you anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 a month. Now you've essentially created a 10,000 to, this truck's moving funny, 10,000 to 20,000 monthly recurring revenue, which is going to have like a 70% profit margin right off the bat, right? Very quickly. And even if you don't, even if you land just one, guess what? You're going to get better. You're going to build up the templates. You know exactly what it's going to take to convert a dentist or whichever niche you selected. And then month 2, you can do it better. Month 3, you can do it even better. Month 4, you can do it even better. And you've accumulated all these assets for that niche, that messaging, that expertise that you can use over and over again. This is the best business model to get to your first like $500,000 a year, like across anything that I've come across and all the business models. It stands the test of time. The way I have my company set up, I have a service agency that services some of my brands. And when times were tough, when, interest rates went up, the stock market started going down, inflation rose, everyone was very scared to spend money online. The only business that was resilient for me was my service agency business. It stands the test of time. And okay, this is the downside though. After about you get to your like $1 million a year, there's more work required for like client relationship management, for like client, like account managing clients. You have more than like 15 clients, you have to continue communicating with clients because at the end of the day, it's a service business. You go to a restaurant or you go to a hotel, like the best 5-star hotels have the best service. So it is a service business. And so with that comes more labor, more management. But for your first $1 million, this is the best business model that I've ever come across. And the biggest benefit is you attain a highly valuable skill set. You learn how to speak with clients. You learn how to sell. You learn how to market. You're learning marketing on other people's dollars. And that's how I learned the game. And this is why, like, if anyone asks me, for me, like from my experience, this is by far the best business model because you learn the skill set to be able to get customers. That's the skill set you learn, which is the lifeblood of any business. So the service agency business is the best business model in my opinion, but everyone's different. If you've got money lying around, build and then buy and then build is another interesting one as well. So hopefully you found this useful, and I really hope this helps you pick your next business. And I wanted to help you out as if you're my brother, because that's exactly what I told my brother as well. Talha, which business have you started now? Service-based agency. Woo! Let's get it.